Do you have like anything you've added to your collection recently?
Not really anything special. I mean, I picked up a new PS4 with a bigger hard drive, a slim model and 1 terabyte, whereas mine was the fatter model and the 500. So, and I bought it for the same price I bought my 500 for. So I'll sell off the 500 and
Yeah.
yeah, break even. Better system, more hard drive space. I kept running out of space, especially because I have so many VR games on it. So, and then I picked up
You're
a
right.
VR. Yeah.
Are you able to transfer any of that shit over?
There's actually a really good transfer for that. I was surprised. At first, I started just backing everything up manually to USB stick, but
Yeah.
the transfer is good, but also weird. So you have to have both systems on the same network, and then you power one off partway through the old one off, I think, or I can't remember. Anyway, it transfers everything over the network, like over either Wi-Fi or wired network, whichever one you're using, and it moves everything
Right.
over. All your files, all your games, all your saves, like your screenshots and videos, everything. I was impressed with how well it worked. It was a little weird that you got to reboot it at one time, and a little weird that you can't have one on Wi-Fi while the other one's wired network. But whatever. Yeah,
Well, I mean, hey, it seems to be good, so that's good,
yeah. It
right?
made moving to a new
Fucking A.
system a hell of a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Well, yeah, because that's always the drag when you know, I mean, we're all collectors at heart, and that also includes our information. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like
Exactly.
our statistics, our trophies, or whatever the fuck. That's what makes it hard to get rid of some stuff because it's like, well, I can't even.
Or
Like I remember it was a,
game progress is what
it
I
was
thought
a,
of right away.
well, that too, yeah, it was a pain in the ass to get my DS when I got a new 3DS off of my I had a Majora's Mask 3DS and it got lost.
Okay.
And I ended
Oh,
up coming across another one. So I thought, okay, this shouldn't be hard to recover all this shit. And oh my god, it was so fucking hard. And I'm like, dude, this should not be this difficult. I should be able to just put in my fucking email address. I only
yeah.
got 3 fucking email addresses. This should be like an hour process. You know what I mean? Like at the
At the
maximum. You
most,
put
yeah.
in one, maybe it takes a few minutes. Okay, it's not the right one. You put in the other. Shouldn't be that hard. Should be an easy
But
fucking recovery
everybody
process.
wants to say
It's not.
charge for cloud saves now too, so that's even worse. And you have to be
Yeah.
subscribed to have your backups go on the cloud.
Right, but I mean, honestly, I was just more interested in like keeping like my me and my.
Okay.
I didn't even really, you know what I mean? Like just the
Yep.
basics, like to be able to get into the shop without having to put all that bullshit back in. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like it was, and you can't even like really do anything without having a fucking account. It's not like you could just buy a game and oh, I'm just gonna put this game in and play. It's like no, you need to have your fucking Nintendo password, and it's like oh, okay or your Nintendo ID, you know what I mean? Your
Yeah. Yeah.
network ID is what it's asking for. And it's like, you know what, dude? I just want to play a fucking video game real quick, you know? But
Real quick.
yeah, I remember it took me like way longer than
especially
it should have. I was just, fuck, man.
especially a handheld. You just want
But
to play fast, right?
yeah, that's kind of the
Pick it
point
up,
of the
play, done,
handheld.
go.
It's right. I mean, okay, I can understand the PS4. You got to download, you know, they send it. It's not ready. You got to download the update, which isn't really an update. It's really the finished game. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking bullshit. But okay, fine. My son, he fucking downloaded the new Modern Warfare. It took him like 18 fucking hours.
Yeah, PS4
I'm
is terrible
like,
for that.
I'm
Your
like, are you
internet's
fucking
faster and
kidding?
it won't do it. It won't go fast enough.
Yeah, it was 18 hours. He
That's
loaded it up and he went to bed. And
the
when he
point
woke
in
up the next day, it
pre-ordering,
was
right?
all right. And
Yeah,
then he
you
bought
download.
it. He bought it day one. He did the digital, so yeah, it was a little bit more. You know, I mean, like I can understand there's more information downloading, but it's just still garbage, dude. It shouldn't take that long. He's got decent DSL. It's not like he's on fucking wire up and shit, you know, modem or something, you know, like dial up modem or something. It's you know, it's decent. You know, it's not fucking fiber optic cables and shit, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, you want to get this going?
Sure, why not? Let's get her going real half-assed. This is episode
Yeah.
27. That's it.
There you go, man.
Welcome. So, he's Chris, I'm Derek. That's all you need to know. This is your first episode. Go back and listen to another one.
We've been on hiatus. We're back.
Yeah, it's been 7 months.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long. Yeah, May was the last episode. Why we've been on hiatus? Basically me. Well, I mean, it's not like you initiated anything, but I never did. And usually I kind of set up when we're going to record and stuff. And I got busy. I got a new job. Kids being annoying and getting my son getting in trouble with school and shit. So that didn't help. But mainly it was the new job. Although, when the hell did I start that job? May, June. It was July. I can't remember.
Yeah, but at the time there's a little burnout happening. It's
June,
all right.
So that matches up. It was June that I got the new job, so.
Right. I mean, the fact is, I had summer vacation coming up. I was a little fucking burnt out. When you said you wanted to take a break, I was like, sounds like a good, give a little buffer. And I didn't mean it in a negative way. It was just kind of like, yeah, let's, let's build up some stories and come back.
Every month for over 2 years, so why not?
Right. Yeah. Take a little time off, come back, see what's up.
Get some time to pick up some stuff and learn some new stories, right?
New stories, right? Couple new tips. I have a guy trying to fuck with me right now on eBay, so it should be fun. Yeah, it's. I mean, he doesn't it's funny. I'm like, whatever, dude. It's interesting to me. Come at me. I don't care. Yeah. Well, I mean, he comes off strong. All right, I'll just jump into the story.
Go for it. Why not?
Okay. All right, so I bought some cameras. There's these guys at the swap meet who a few years ago, I think I even talked about on the podcast, like locally, there's these guys who buy all these like store returns. Okay. They get these huge boxes. They're all and they all look the same, even though they're different vendors. They're all coming from the same source. Not necessarily the product, but the product, yes, but not the product originally. Originally, it could come from Costco, it could come from Best Buy, it could come from Amazon. Okay. Somehow, they all end up as some electronic dump somewhere. I don't know if it's truly a dump, but they end up somewhere. And then those people box them up into fucking big
I've seen YouTube videos of them. Yeah.
And they auction them off. And a lot of times, they're like those little wireless batteries, or like those little batteries that charge your phone, like the portable batteries, or broken cameras, all these various things. But when you dig through them, you come up with like these headphones. These came from that place at one time, and they're fucking work perfect. I had like 5 pairs of Beats. I was giving them out, for the fuck of it. I was selling them on eBay. There was all kinds of good shit in there, right?
There's no bureau on that, eh? On Beats? I'm surprised.
No, not
just seems like the type of thing they would do. Okay.
I could see. I think at one time there was issues because a lot of people were selling fake Beats.
Yeah.
But man, as long as you get the serial numbers in there, you have a right to sell them. Well, they don't come after you.
It's a good idea, yeah.
You got to make sure, because you could pull up the sides and there's like a serial number on the I don't know what, the arm or whatever the fuck you call this. And there's like a little serial number in there. And the ones that didn't have serial numbers, I wouldn't sell them. Like, I bought them up without really looking into them. And when I looked at them, if they didn't have them, I just didn't sell them. I didn't care if they got scratched off or what. I just didn't want to deal with the hassle. Yeah. I just figured, you know what? I'll just give these away if someone wants them. If they work, I don't care. Just because I was getting big bulks for like $20, big, huge bags of. I made $1,000 one weekend out there just digging through this shit. I was like leaving work early just to go and do this. I was like, dude, I can't make this at work. Anyway, so I bought these cameras, right? They go on the bottom of drones. And when I initially bought them,
I saw that.
Right. I didn't really think much about them. I knew they were worth something. The guy, he initially said he wanted $10 for one. So I dug through the boxes. I found another one. And then I found like a PS4 controller and a PS Move controller. So I got those. And I went up to him. I said, well, what about all this? And he's like, 10, 23. I don't know how he got there. I think he meant to say 33, but I didn't care. I paid him the 23 and I left. I looked at the cameras, and if they were in perfect working condition, used, it would go for about $500. Yeah. Now, when I initially bought them, I didn't really look at them that closely, and after closer examination, there was like a little base missing off each of them, which, whatever. I knew that even in this condition, I was going to be able to make some money. And sure enough, I listed one for $300 or best offer. A guy hit me up for $250. So I just took the offer right away. And then I messaged him. I said, look, I got another one. And I already had listed it. And he goes, well, you try to do the haggle. That one looks in way worse condition and all this shit. And I was like, look, it ain't, but whatever. I was going to give you a deal so we could cut through all that shit. How about 200? And he's like, yeah, I'll take it. I'm like, cool. So 450 for those two right there. And so then he gets them. I ship them out quick. He gets them, and then right away he's messaging me telling me that they're dummy cameras and all this shit. And at first, I was thinking, well, maybe he's right. Like, I don't know,
like a display
maybe
model or something.
it's possible. Like I don't want to initially think he's, I try to take people at their word initially. I don't want to be just a pessimist from the get-go because truthfully, I don't know. They could have been, you know what I mean? I was out of my element. I didn't take them apart. I just looked at them.
And you don't have an aircraft to try it with either. Yeah.
Right. So then but the picture he sent me was very dark and it was like, and then the most closer I looked at it was like, there was like a scratch swirl on the side, but that wasn't in any of the pictures I sent. So I really looked at all my pictures and I thought, well, maybe he scratched, like he still could be telling the truth. So I told him, I said, look, I'm going to just cut to the shit right now. I don't know if you're being honest with me or not, but that picture doesn't match what I sent you. And then, he got real defensive and, kind of, being insulting, you're a scammer and all this shit. I was like, no, calm down, dude. If you're right, I have no problem taking the return. It's not a big deal. But I just don't waste my time. If you're trying to scam me because you bought them. See, here's the thing. When I was selling iPhone, I learned my lesson with iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
I was buying broken iPhones and selling them as parts only. People would get them. Immediately, they usually message me asking me if the cloud was open, shit like that. And I'm like, look, I don't know anything about the fucking cloud. If it's open, it's closed. You're not buying cloud, you're buying parts. If you don't want the parts, don't buy it. They would get it and immediately be angry because the cloud was locked and they couldn't get into it. So I'm like, doesn't matter. There's usable parts.
Yeah.
And that's what you bought. And that's what you bought. I didn't sell you a working phone. So my guard was already up on that because I assumed he bought the camera, got it, and it probably wasn't fixable. It's possible, but I didn't post it like that. It actually is the actual listing. Normally I put parts or repair, and actually it just says parts not working.
Nice.
And honestly, and nowhere in there did I say anything about being able to repair it. So bottom line is he bought parts, and the shell is a part. Everything's a part. They're all parts. You know what I mean? So he bought the parts. Now maybe that was an expensive part, and that might be a lesson for him.
Yeah.
And it does kind of suck because I don't want to be heartless about it, but yet then he tried to scam me, or at least he tried to be deceitful because he tried to send me a picture of one camera that he had and the camera that I sent him, and he tried to show me the difference in the weight. Now my camera weighed 8.5 ounces.
Okay.
And his camera weighed 12 ounces. Now right off the bat, you're saying, okay, something's missing, right? And
you already said one plate's missing.
Correct. And I looked in the picture really closely, and the way he even pictured it, he even showed it where like you couldn't even see the backside. But when you really kind of look, you can see that metal plate on the end. It's perfectly reasonable to think that what metal plate's 3 ounces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's very reasonable to think that's what it was because it's metal. I looked through every picture prior to listing it. That's why I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's metal. It's a bracket. It must hook to the drone. It's probably where the drone hooks. I don't know if you like lock it into place or it has screw. I don't know how you get it on there, but I could tell it probably.
I don't know that one specific.
Whatever it is, that's where it fastens to the drone. So, so I told him, I was like, dude, I mean, if anything, you just kind of proved that the camera parts are in there because that's probably what that case weighed. You know what I mean? I was like, sorry, dude, just talk to eBay. It's like, go ahead, open your case, do whatever, and he's like, in his return request, these are dummy cameras. I will not be calm. He's like super angry. And then he's like, I will go to court if I have to. I'm like, yeah, dude, go to court for $400.
Don't know who I am. That's not how eBay works either, right?
Knock yourself out, brother. Like, I mean, what will end up probably happening is eBay's probably going to refund them and eat it. And that's kind of what I'm hoping happens. Because if he is telling the truth, I do feel kind of guilty about that. But none of his actions come off as someone who's telling the truth. I mean, there's many ways he could have talked to me. He came at me as a bully, very aggressive, which maybe he would do that same thing if he was being burned. I can see that, but I can also see someone trying to dupe somebody too. You know, because he even made the thing like, I've gone through all your listings, you've never sold one of these cameras. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting information. And how do you
just
know?
say
Like,
it's more than 90 days ago, and he can't say shit.
well, I know, but I mean, the point
But
is he's gone. It's like he had all this ammo ready to go. He already had that ready by the time we talked. Like, it was just interesting. Like, hey, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. You know, because I did actually put into the ad, you know, I don't know how to repair it, so, or to test it, so my ignorance is your gain or something like that. So I probably shouldn't have wrote that, but I was just trying to be honest when I was
you put it
selling
for parts, so it doesn't matter, right?
Right. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I mean, he might try to get my money hung up for a little while, and I can wait him out. It's totally fine. But I really don't know how I could have done that any differently. I'm pretty sure I'm covered 100%. I did actually talk to eBay, and they're like, don't worry about it. Just let it go through its process. We're going to side in your favor and all this stuff. And I'm pretty confident I'm going to have no issues. And worst case scenario, he sends the cameras back, and then I'll just say that he gutted them, because I truly feel like he probably would. The guy knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like, I know they weren't super light when I sent them. And another weird thing he tried to say is, you could see that the side is glued, like saying that somehow that meant something. Like, because it's glued.
Let's say someone tried to repair it.
Well, no, this is it. There's actually two little covers that go on the side, right? That, like, when you pop them off, they expose like screws, whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
On the gimbal.
The one was missing. So of course you're gonna see the glue. You know what I'm saying? That's right. It's like, no, they didn't glue the what? Like, it was all his logic was wrong, and I don't know, I guess we'll see how it plays out. I'm not too concerned about it though. Like, it was, I don't know, it was just like whatever. But that day was a very good day, because besides those cameras, I found a high-end VCR for $15 that resells for about 300 to 350. It's an S video, which that's kind of like that video that was in between like the standard, composite cables, in between that and HD. So it had probably a limited run. Plus, it's a JVC, which at the time was a little more higher end on the VCRs. You know what I mean? Like, wasn't as common as like a Sony or a Sanyo or something like that. So that was a cool little score and everything. I just been too lazy to list it though. It's still, I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to talk myself because it's kind of cool. But and it would go great with my Sony TV, which has S video, but I don't really. But and then so I go into a game store, and that's the thing about I always find it interesting how, like, and maybe you got to be confident if you're in a game store, but how sometimes they come off as really cocky, like, these games are very rare, they're very hard. And, and I have two things. I'm like, one, do I, like, I don't know, flex back and tell them, no, look, dude, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I do. Or do I let them play? Right. Or do I just kind of play dumb and kind of see where they're leading to? And then if I get to usually what I do is I just kind of like hang back and then let them kind of lay out their whole sales pitch. And then at the very end, if I can't get what I'm looking for, then I kind of show the experience and kind of let them kind of know where they're at.
Yeah, that's usually the way I'd go with that too.
Yeah, and that's usually kind of what I do. I try not to be an ass because, again, they are paying bills, and I get all that. I don't have no problem with them trying to make money. I just don't like them trying to, teach me about video games. It's like, I mean, if there was one thing I'm pretty confident in my experience, it's that, especially I'm looking at Super Nintendo. Like, this is kind of my thing, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
But he had two box games. One of them was Castle shit, I can't remember the name of it. Doesn't matter. The one of them goes for about $100 if it was complete. It was missing the manual, so I made sure to point that out to him. And right off the bat, he initially took him back, and then of course he goes to eBay and looks it up, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you're right." But where he was going to have problems is he had Indiana Jones, Conquest of the Crystal Palace. That's what it was. He had Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now, the thing about that is there's two variants of it. to the basic, when you basically look at it, it looks the same. The covers look the same. The title's the same. They both say, the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Both of them have Indiana Jones on the horse. They're the same. Everything looks the same, but the games are actually different, and they're made by two different publishers. One's Taito and one's Ubisoft, and the Ubisoft is very rare.
Yeah, I've seen that on price charting. They have a separate listing for it.
Yeah, it's about as rare as like not the super rare. Like it's not Stadium Events rare. It's not Panesian rare, but it's definitely out of your license carts. It's kind of about as rare as it gets. It's in that range. It's probably equally as rare as Panic Restaurant and Little Samson and all that. It just doesn't have the desirability. So the price isn't as high, but the box is very desired to the collectors because when you're looking for that complete cardboard set, it's gonna be a tough one to come up with. And so anyways, I bought the lot from him, got a crazy ridiculous price, and immediately like made a big chunk of change off of it. I made $1,000 that day. It was awesome, dude. It was just like, okay, like this was a good day. And the funny thing is I was only there in that town to buy this. This lady had an offer up ad, and she had Simon's Quest, a little Tiger handheld. Now, I'm not a huge Tiger handheld collector, but there are some that I want. Like pretty much like DuckTales and Double Dragon. Like some
I
of
got Double Dragon over here, yeah.
I do have Double Dragon. I don't have DuckTales.
I had that as a kid, the Double Dragon, so.
That's dope, dude. But they're not great games to play.
No,
this.
They're terrible.
It was but they're really cool to look at though. They just display well. They look neat. There's the
most
art
people
on
have
them.
some memory of it, whether you didn't have it or not. Most people knew someone that had it or have played them.
Or you were giving it to them as a gift, and you were like, "Fuck," you know what I mean? Like you could have bought me a regular game, But you know what I mean? Like it's like they were like at least $20. I'm sure if you bought them at the store, you could have bought a budget title. Like shit, I would have rather had Double Dribble. You know what I mean? But so that was the only reason I was there, and this lady was lagging. She was supposed to meet me at the parking lot. Like 20 minutes go by, Messenger. She's, in the OfferUp app, it shows like double check marks if they see it. It gets like a notification that they've read your message. So she's not reading it. So like 30 minutes. So I messaged her saying, "Look, I'm still waiting. It's been 20 minutes. 30 minutes came. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm like, I don't even care at this point. So I just said it. Yeah, thanks anyways, but I'm going to get moving. And so about 10 minutes later, when I was at that game store, she messaged me. It's like, hey, I still have it if you want it. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were that close. Even though when you go back, I have I find the dumbest people, man, on OfferUp. I've been posting them. They're hilarious. The one guy, I was buying a Game & Watch, and I'm like, where are you at? Man. And he's like, I'm in Visalia, or I'm in Hanford, which, yeah, I know that. Your fucking thing says that. So where do you want to meet at? Oh, my house. Yeah, like, but where is that house? He's like, I don't know. Hold on. And I'm like, wait a minute, what?
I don't
know.
Oh, hold on, bro. I don't know.
I don't know. I'll find out. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? But it was legit. I went there and he had it. But so anyways, I asked her, I was like, man, you got anything else? Because now I'm kind of pissed. Like I don't really feel like going back to this parking lot. I was gonna make her come to me. So she said she had some super Nintendo 64 games, and I'm like, she goes, hold on, I'll look for them. I'm like, all right. I was like, I'm gonna go get some food. Let me know if you want to do this. So as I was eating, she's like, yeah, I got Mario Party, I got Mario 64, I got fucking Majora's Mask, I got a Saturn controller, which was my second Saturn controller of the day, which is so random. You never see them. At least I don't. I found two in the same day, which is kind of odd. So yeah, I ended up getting a really nice lot for her. It's funny though, she tried to put some guilt trip on me because like she wanted a little bit more money, like $5 more than what I offered her, like 35, and she's like, well, can you give me 40 because my son needs, I don't know, a vest or something for like some sort of band concert. And I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. I could do another 5 for your son. But I've been getting the tweakers a lot lately, man, because she pulled up, she's smoking, she looks just, first thing she says, which is probably the worst thing you could tell me when we first meet up, is, "I'm really sick." Well, get the fuck away from me then. Like, I don't want to be sick. Like you didn't have to tell me that information. I wouldn't know. Now I'm gonna be washing my hands like 25 times today. Get the hell away from me. So I bought that. A couple days later, I find actually it might have been the next day. I don't know, something like that. It was pretty close after I found like the carrying cases, which like a lot of people refer to them as rental cases. Sometimes they were, but they're not necessarily always rental cases. I mean, typically you see like 90s era. Well, I didn't even realize like Atari had one, which I don't know why I was surprised, but some guy had it listed up, and it was complete. It was a nice case. The case is worth about 100 to 200, depending. I've seen them sell for both, so I'd say at least 150. He had just a regular 4-switch in it. It was some decent games. I mean, Ghostbusters was in there. It wasn't like the most common of common, but it definitely wasn't nothing rare or anything. But it was pretty clean. Yeah, and he was kind of aggressive with his haggling, right? Like he wanted 100, I offered 75, and his thing was, we could both do better. And I'm like, well,
so give me better then.
Like, what was that supposed to mean? Like, I mean, were we breaking up now, or what? Like, it sounded like it just so weird way to reply.
Do better.
So I looked through his ads, and I saw he had some VHS tapes, and I was like, you know what? I'll give you 85. That's it for that, and throw in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it was just kind of an uncommon tape. It's probably worth like $5 or $10 at the most, but I wanted it, and I felt like it'd make me feel better, right? He wins, I win, we both win a little bit. I'm driving to him, he's getting money, whatever. Take it or leave it, motherfucker. So he comes back with, I don't need Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What else do you got? I'm like, what? No, you didn't. Like, do you have any Blu-rays? And I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm like, no, I don't think you read my message. I'm saying you give me the console stuff and your Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I'm giving you my $85. And he's like, no, 85, no tape. And I'm like, all right, well, thanks anyways. And he's like, fine, fuck it. I'm like, okay, I'll just take that as you agree. I'll see you in 20 minutes. So I pull up. We meet in a Dollar General parking lot, which is just kind of like a low budget store. It's kind of like a small man. Well, it's not really even a dollar store. It's kind of like a small scale Walmart sort of.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like just a miniature. I don't know what else you compare it to, but it's just it's just like a CVS without the fucking drugs. You know what I mean? It has all the stuff in it. You can get minor groceries. You can get, basically most people in town go and get fucking candy and soda and shit because it's cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so we meet there, and I mean, he rolls up. He's like, what did he say? I'm in a Caprice, and he rolls up looking ghetto as shit. His old lady's got like a fucking Marlboro or a Camel non-filter hanging off her lip, and the car running. He jumps out, and I'm just like, all right. I mean, you could tell he's spun like a motherfucker too. So I was just like, I'm looking at it, and he goes, I've gotten so many calls. Everybody and their mom wants this. And I'm like, I didn't even say shit to him. I was just like, all right, here's your money. I ain't going to make no small talk with you, dude. Just give me my shit. Here's your shit. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Like, but it's a good little run though, man. It's a good little run, dude. But anyway, I got a bigger one coming up. So what do you got? What'd you get? I saw you had a little Atari lot. Got some common games.
I got Atari lot. I got I don't know where the hell did my list go here. So I got the case itself. Have you ever seen that case or not? That glass top. It looks like an old cassette. Yeah. I mean disc holder, right? So there's that. Right. It holds 18 games. Then came with Donkey Kong, Coleco, Donkey Kong Jr., Coleco, Zaxxon, Coleco, Smurfs Rescue, Coleco, Carnival Coleco. Then Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Moon Patrol, Pitfall 2, Double Dragon, Battlezone, and River Raid 2.
2, right?
All
With
that.
your Pitfall 2, your River Raid 2, and all of them are pretty, like, they're not rare, but they're definitely uncommon. I would probably say the rarest out of that was probably that Double Dragon, which is a really cool cart. You know, like
I
you
found
just don't
another
come.
one. I found another one on Kijiji the same day,
wow.
but I haven't bought it because the person didn't answer. I think I offered low. No, it was Facebook, and I offered low.
You low baller.
I was gonna. I wasn't terribly low, but I actually meant to go on and try and get it because I was like, how rare is this? Especially if I see two of them at the same time, like. Fuck.
Well, yeah, I think it's just your luck. Sometimes things come in spurts, but I mean, I tell you right now, I've never seen a Double Dragon in public. I bought one online, but I've never seen it in person. And I've gone through thousands of Atari games, and I've never seen a Double Dragon, so it's pretty uncommon. I would definitely say it's on maybe a low end rare. You know, like the price isn't super high. It's not like a $200 game or anything, but
yeah. But I was offering him $15 for Double Dragon and Mario Bros.
That's probably fair. He was probably.
She said they'd take 10 per game.
Oh, well,
and I said, well, you do 15 for both, and they never answered.
I see. Really, 20 is probably a fair price. I mean, I don't know what they go for in your area, but I mean, especially if you wanted them just for collector's pieces, like just to have them. That's an excellent price.
Yeah, I thought about
keeping desired. They're both desired games. Yeah. Well, even the Mario Brothers is kind of cool.
Yeah, the Mario Bros. I was gonna give to my brother or my nephew. He's been getting into Atari lately. He's only 8 years old, and he's been playing Atari like crazy lately. His mom played Atari when she was a kid, and they have a 2600 and a 70. The hell is it? 78. Yeah. Yeah. So he's been playing all the 2600 on the 78.
Yeah, it upscales the graphics minorly, and it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's cool.
So I was thinking of giving him, for Christmas, giving him the Super Mario Bros. Because he already liked Mario, right? He loves Mario on every Nintendo.
I think you know this, but it's
just Mario Bros.
Yeah, it's the standard Mario Brothers.
But he's obsessed with the origins of things. He's like telling me the Jumpman is Mario's original name and all that stuff. Cool. So. I mean, I already knew, but it's still cool. He's telling me that.
No, but it's cool the fact that he's that interested.
An 8-year-old kid interested in the old game.
I know adults who don't know that. You know what I mean? Who like Mario and they don't know. That's pretty cool.
What is this? So you've also got a Jungle Hunt. Normally have a color, a picture label. I don't know that game. I just don't recognize it.
What is it? Text?
No, it's picture.
Oh yeah, they normally have a picture. They normally look like that.
It's because you guys were talking before about some that were less common with a photo, like a picture label, and
there are some that are very uncommon, even on the rarity. Like I'm trying to think of, like Superman, for instance. If you get the Superman picture label for the Telegames variant, you know, the ones that were released by Sears. And if you get the picture Superman, that's about $100, maybe even more. I mean, I remember at one time it might have been a little higher. I think it's leveled out a little bit. Yeah, so there are some. Right, you probably got just the Atari one, or
I would think so.
Yeah, even the text version of it is a little more uncommon. You just don't see them all the time, but they're pretty cool. It's fun to vary and chase for Atari because that's something you're typically going to catch somebody slipping on.
Yeah,
most people don't know the difference. There's even collectors that don't know the difference. Like I even still learn stuff all the time about like minor code variants and stuff like E.T. My buddy Adam, and now it's driving me nuts finding it because I probably went across it a bunch of times. There's two ETs. One has like a small windows on the spaceship, and one has big windows. Well, I have them both now. Right, but now there's even, if you look down into the there's at the bottom there's a date, right? So most of them say 1982, which you're not going to be able to see that, but they say 1986, and that's like the last version put out. So that one's kind of hard to find, but I don't know if you can see like on the windows, they're like bigger windows there.
Okay.
And then here the windows are smaller. So that's like the main variants, but there's also a date variant, which is kind of hard to find. So it's just kind of fun because it gives you something else to dig for when you're looking through them.
Well, yeah,
Just
Atari
one
doesn't
other
pop up
thing.
that often, but people tend to undervalue it. Is the other reason why I
Oh,
find it
for sure.
interesting. So
Well, the
that's why
thing
I've
I
been
like
like,
about it is it's definitely undervalued on both ends. The collector or the buyer and the seller. Most people don't think Atari's worth shit. And only really the deep collectors are the ones who put the value on it. It's not like Nintendo where, some people, if I said, hey, this Mario Duck Hunt is $25, they might be like, oh, that's reasonable. They don't know the
yeah,
difference. They just think
yeah,
that seems reasonable to me. It's old.
it's a Mario game.
But Nice Mario game. It's old. I used to play that. I love it. I'd pay $25 to play that again.
Yeah,
Whereas an Atari game, the people who have that nostalgia are either, you know, getting really old or they just don't care. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so it really does come down to the bigger collectors, which is fine. And the thing is when you buy a lot of times you're getting the same 30 games every time. You're getting a Defender, you're getting an Asteroids, you're getting several copies of Pac-Man and ET.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like Combat. It's always a lot of the same stuff. So it really is fun whenever you come across a different one. And
yeah,
I know like the club is seemed like they had Atari Fever going there for a little bit,
yeah.
which kind of makes it a little fun.
Yep, that's part of the reason why I was thinking of, or why I was grabbing some of them too. Like I said, some of these games are already going to other people in the club, so it's
Man.
fun to be able to hook people up with something they're looking for.
Especially when you get it cheap. That's
Yeah,
always the
yeah,
best. When you can give out a gift and it didn't really cost you much, and like the value to them is way high. You know what I mean?
yep,
It's fun. It helps. It helps them and doesn't really put a hurting on you. It's kind of
yeah.
cool.
Well, I messaged that girl back because I want to see
Well,
if she'll
good.
do 15.
Get the carts, dude.
Yeah,
Like you're gonna regret it, man. I'm surprised. I've never seen one Double Dragon, and that you came across two. I mean, I
yeah,
own one, but like in the wild, or I mean, I guess you can call Facebook the wild. I've never seen
yeah.
it.
Especially
I
if it's
think
not a
it is.
reseller.
Essentially, it kind of is. I know some people like to debate what the real wild is, but I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Video game store don't count, dude. Sorry, but well, speaking of video game stores, all right. So this was
Yeah,
about, I guess it was 3 weeks ago now. No, it was it was the second. Okay, so it was a month ago, essentially, at the beginning of the month, right? Beginning of November. Um, I was sick. I had been sick like the whole week, so I haven't done any hunting, and I was really looking forward to, because I felt like I was going to be better Saturday. Leading up to the Saturday, I was like, I'm going to get up early. I'm going to go hit the swap meet. I had plans, right?
yeah.
And I kind of worked late that Friday, and I had this cough that wouldn't go away. I mean, it literally lasts like 2 weeks. It was insane. I was like on the verge of like, I don't know. It wasn't really making me like, was
Yeah,
no fever or nothing
just
like that. It
annoying.
just was a cough that just wouldn't go away. Right?
That's what
Like
I
I'm
feel like
trying to
right
sleep
now.
and I got a cough. Right? Yeah. It's like, dude. So, anyways, I ended up sleeping in. I wake up probably about 10:30. Well, I not wake up, but I start to get up around then. I was up for a while, and I'm like, okay, I gotta salvage this somehow. Am I gonna go to the swap meet? What I'm gonna do? Well, I decided, there was this particular game store in town. I'd probably rather not name them just in case somebody local's listening, but it probably won't be too hard for them to figure out anyways. But this local game store, I hadn't been there in a while. I've done really good on Atari carts, and I had talked to one of the owners recently, and he had got like a bunch of box NES games. So I thought, maybe I'll go down there and check it out. Maybe I can find a variant or something. And so I go down there, and I was in the store for a few minutes looking around. I couldn't really find anything. The boxes weren't there. I didn't know if he had sold them or what, if they were in the back room, because sometimes they put them in the back and hold them back for eBay. So I'm messaging him, but then I noticed something sitting on the counter, and I see on the counter there's like these Atari 800. There was a computer. Atari
Yeah.
early on in the early 80s, late 70s, they released, I think it was probably early 80s, they were releasing computers. They had the 400, they had the 800. Well, on the counter was one of the tape decks that goes to the 800, or maybe it's to the 400, one or the other. And it was still sealed. You could tell it had never been opened, right? Like just by the looks of it. And it wasn't in perfect condition. I mean, it looked like it was a little dingy, but it had never been opened. And next to it was some software and that hadn't been opened. So I have a friend who's like really into collecting that stuff. So I sent him a picture of him, and he was interested, but he got back to me too late. But anyway, so I sent him the picture. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I look on the ground and I notice there's two tubs right there. One was a clear tub and one was a black tub with a yellow lid on it. So being the nosy fuck that I am, I kind of peek into that black tub, and there was just like some shirts in there. So I close it and I'm kind of like just looking around. Then I hear the phone ring. This girl, she gets on the phone and I kind of hear her haggling with a customer, like, yeah, we looked at your Atari stuff and we'll give you $30. Now, back in my mind, I remember when I was by the counter, I noticed on a piece of paper she had $70 with a couple lines underneath it. So I'm guessing that was as high as she could go, right? She did a really good job haggling. I'll give her credit. So he must have came back with 40 because she said 40. How about 35? And I guess he said yes. And so I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. The store's only been open for like 20 minutes. So he must have brought this here, dropped it off, went back home. But why? To get something else, right? Like it's pretty reasonable to deduct that. He went to go get more things. So I'm thinking, well, I need to wait this out because I was ready to go. But I'm like, I think there might be something else here. So I waited a little bit, and right about the time I was getting ready to leave, because it probably had been about 15 minutes, I start to walk towards the door, and the door opens, and here comes a guy with a black tub and a yellow lid, and he's walking in the store, and I'm seeing it, and I'm thinking, fuck, I should have waited outside because I could have intercepted him, right? Because I'm not going to approach him in the store. Because they pay rent, they have employees. I respect that, but in the parking lot, it's fair game. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, because frankly, they would do the same to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's dog eat dog. They know the game, but I do respect those boundaries. I won't. But what I thought maybe is I can hang around, kind of see what's in the tub to see if it's worth trying to make a play at it. Maybe, if he doesn't like what he's getting, maybe he'll say fuck you, walk out, and I can follow him out.
Yeah.
But she was super like I mean, I don't want to say she was being rude, but she definitely didn't show this guy any attention. She's fucking around. He sets the hold on, some stupid thing popped up. Of course an update will pop up. So he sets the tub down, right? And she tells him, yeah, your shirts are over there, we don't want them. So I guess he's thinking to himself, well, fuck it. I'll just go put it in the car. I'll come back and we'll do our deal then. So then I make my move. I follow him out and I just let him know. I just said, hey, well, at first I was like, hey man, I don't mean to be nosy of course I did mean to be nosy, but
precisely,
I don't mean to be, you're right. You got to say that shit, right? I don't mean to be nosy, but, did you have any Atari games in that box? Cause in my mind, I'm thinking he has a tub of Atari games. Just because he had Atari stuff. Sealed. Who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, no, it's just old Nintendo stuff. And I'm like,
damn. Well, I can take a look for you.
Right. I'm like,
maybe there's something I might want.
Old Nintendo stuff, huh? And I was like, well, hey man, like I don't want to get in the middle of your deal. I was like, but if you don't like the number they hit you with, I'll be out here, just so you know. And he goes, well, I haven't showed them anything yet. And I was like, well, I can't go back in the store and look. And he goes, well, I can go back in there and get it. And I'm like, I don't see why not, So he goes back there, he brings the tub out, and I'm thinking, old Nintendo stuff, like, what the fuck am I going to see, right? So he opens up the tub, and the first thing I'm seeing is sealed Game Boy games, which anybody who's a Game Boy collector knows that the boxes are hard as shit to find, and to find them sealed is like, I mean, I'm hearing casino noises going off in my head, right? And so I start to dig around, and it's like I see a sealed Super Mario All-Stars, and I saw like a Game Boy box, which was a first print, and I saw a Nintendo set, which I'm still kind of kicking myself on that one because I really should have did more investigating. But nonetheless, I looked through it, And the last thing I saw was the Super Mario World. Now, I can hear people being like, "So what? Super Mario World, that's a common game." And you are right. The cart is very common. The cart is probably the most common game on the Super Nintendo, or at least it's in the top 10 of the common games. But the box is not common at all, because that first print box was only released in a limited quantities because they all came in the fucking game. And the ones that came in Super Nintendo set did not come in a box. Okay? They only came loose cart. So, and the fact that it's sealed obviously kicks it up another notch. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking that thing's probably worth $700 to $1,000, because a box is worth about $300, just a box only.
And okay, it's about sealed on top of that.
I'm just saying, I'm doing a low ball estimate. I'm thinking it's worth about $1,000. I'm like, fuck, I only have $90 on me. I just want to get this party going. There's an ATM right over there. I got to get the negotiate. I don't want him to go back in the store. I'm just trying to seal this deal, right? So I put everything back in the box, and then I just say, I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely interested. How about $90? Now I do my whole I'm showing him the money thing. I pull the money out of my pocket. I'm like, how about $90? And he's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I should see what they offer. I was like, no, hey, hold on now. You know what I mean? Like, what were you thinking? Well, actually, you know what? I take that back. Let me rewind. Actually, initially, I asked him, what were you thinking? And he told me he didn't know. He said, this is my grandfather's stuff. I don't know anything about it. I don't really know. So then I said, well, I got $90. And I showed it to him. And he goes, for everything? And I was like, I don't know. You tell me. And then he's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I should ask them and see what they say. And I was like, well, you could do that, but hold on. Let's talk this out. Like, what were you thinking? Like, did you want more? I mean, I'm just offering what I have on me. I can get more money. And he's like, well, you know, man, I don't know. How about you give me your phone number? And I'm like, nah, that's not going to happen.
I'll never hear back.
If I give you my phone number, I'll never hear from you again. And I'll be thinking about this for the next 2 months. I was like, how about this? How about I just take a few items out of the box and I make you an offer on that? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So I'm like, okay. So I grab, there was a sealed Ninja Turtles with like the first game.
Fall of the Foot Clan.
Oh, Foot Clan. There you go.
I'm looking at your picture. That's
you're right. Yeah. Fall of the Foot Clan. There was this Alien game, the baseball game, which I still have sitting right here. And then so I grabbed those. I wasn't trying to like grab everything premium. I knew I wanted the baseball game just to keep because it has Mario on it. I just thought it'd be cool to have. Definitely was going to get that Mario All-Stars. Initially, I was thinking I was going to keep it and sell mine because I have a box one, but I ended up just selling the sealed one.
Sell the sealed
one.
Alien, you don't need sealed.
No, I don't. I have a couple, but I don't. It's not my goal. It's just if I come across them cheap or if it's something interesting, but I didn't really care. I also got like this Light Boy, which was just kind of like a throw-in at the last second. Light Boy was a licensed party product, like Vic Tokai. But this, I could tell this was like a first print. Like it has like the grid on it. Whereas the next one kind of matched the second print of the Game Boy. They changed the whole box style. So I figured, well, it's sealed. I don't know. I think it's worth about $100. I mean, I haven't done nothing to try to sell it or anything yet. I don't know. But of course I grabbed the Super Mario World and then I thought, when I picked up the Game Boy box, he goes, oh, that's just the box. So I'm like, well, he don't give a fuck about this box. When I opened it up, I mean, it was super clean inside. It had the foil. I mean, it had the styrofoam. It still had the headphones sealed. It had all the paperwork. It had everything but even had the bag. It had everything but the Game Boy. I got 20 Game Boys on the shelf over there. I didn't care about the game. I just wanted to
grab your best one and throw it in. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. So I set it on, I make this pile and I'm thinking to myself, all right, you know what? Before I do this, so I stand up, I say, hey, you know what? Before we do any of this, my name is Chris, and I stick my hand up. I'm thinking, make this personal. Don't just make this like like he's a fucking prostitute. You know what I mean? Like my name is Chris. He's like,
prostitutes have names too,
Oh, you know what I'm saying. They do, but they don't usually tell you. It's usually, my name is Diamonds or something.
And no kissing on the lips. Yeah.
No kissing on the lips, right? So he tells me, my name is Chris too. So I'm like, that's me. I tell him, That's got to mean something, man. You know what I mean? I was like, let's make this deal happen. And he laughed, and we had a good laugh about that. So I looked down at it, and I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, I'd give him the 90 again. I'd give him more, obviously. I mean, it's not about that. It's about negotiating. I just want to give him a number, and then maybe he can come back with a number, and we can find a spot. Honestly, if he had said, give me $500, I would have gave him $500.
But your number now should be lower than 90.
Has to be.
Because otherwise he knows something's up.
Right. Exactly. See, you're the first person to make that connection initially. That's what I'm trying to say is I can't offer him the 90 again. I could give him the 90, but I can't offer it to him because now he's going to think, what the fuck's in that pile that he's just left half the box. There's most of the stuff's in the box. In his mind, there's more things in the box than what I took out. So I can't offer the 90 again. He's got to get there. I can't take him there or it's going to fuck the deal up. So I was like, but 75 sounds like a good number. You know what I mean? It's not a weird number. Like 85 is more money, but it sounds weird.
In my mind, I went 60 and I'm like, that's a little low, but that's kind of where I'd want to go.
Right. But to me, I've already had him balk once. Because he thought, so now I don't want to do it again. Now's when you close. Okay. So I tell him, how about $75? And he immediately says, yeah, that's fine. And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I would have gave him more, but I mean, at this point, now I'm thinking, well, fuck, what about I give you another, like whatever. But I'm just like, just get the fuck out of here before you fuck this deal up. So I paid him the money. I left. So I start to look up. I'm thinking I'm going to look up Super Mario World, and it's going to be like $1,000. It's $7. I thought it was going to be $700, $800. Well, there was a shady kind of one that sold because it was a double listing, like it sold twice. So I didn't and actually it's since have been removed, but it sold for $13,000. So I'm thinking, yeah, but that one was shady because it was on there twice, and I honestly don't think that was a legit sale. I think that might have been part market manipulation. I'm not quite sure. But there was another one that was in an auction at the moment. And it had like 27 bids and it was already at like $2,700. So I'm thinking, well, shit, I'd be happy with that. You know what I mean? Like, that's great. Fucking loving it. Yeah, so I go out to eat, and then I look down at my phone again, and I went to go back to look at the auction and kind of see where it was at, because I didn't really look at the time or anything. Well, apparently it was winding down, because it wasn't there no more. Like, what the hell? So I clicked sold, and it sold for $9,000. So I was like, oh, yeah. Well,
$1,350 ain't too far off.
It's not. It really isn't. So that one, but then I start comparing pictures, and mine had like some dings on the corners, and when you get into something like this, every little thing matters, right? And again, let me also start off by saying, if the IRS is listening, this is all for entertainment. None of this happened. This is all bullshit,
Yeah.
Just let you guys know, IRS wise, we're just fucking around. We're a comedy act. Anyway, so back to the story. Right. So back to the story. So I get contacted by a friend. We kind of go back and forth, and it was just like $6,500 cash, friends and family. Fucking he covered the shipping and everything. So I'm just like, you know what, dude? Whenever you like, let's say 9,000 was the standard, you're gonna give away at least $1,000 on shipping, and not shipping, on the sale, on the fees, because once you factor in PayPal and eBay, it's about $1,000. It might have been 9 something, but it was close to $1,000. So now you're down to about 8. The fact that, man, just the stress of sending it off, and whether if it gets fucked or not, the
just
fact
dealing with eBay instead of a person
I honestly didn't mind taking the discount. And plus, truthfully, and he was right. He's like, the corners concern me, and I was like, I understand that. And comparing it to the one that just sold for 9, they're very comparable, but I understand your concern. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the market. That's the high end. So let's find a price. And we settle for that. I sold the turtles for $500 plus shipping, and I sold the Mario All-Stars, which also had some dings on the corners. And I sold that for $350 plus shipping. So dude, I made like, I was like $7,200 up. I'm like,
terrible profit margin there.
Right. Right. You know what's funny is this the guy who bought the Super Mario World off me, he's like, dude, you sold that at All Stars too low. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, I hear where you're coming from, but I sold that friends and family. I didn't pay no fees on that. The last one sold for $390. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the high end. There's nothing that was higher than that. I mean, something might have gone up since then, but at the moment, I'm only working with the current market. You know, I don't feel like sitting on it. I want to move. You know, like I have plans, man. I paid off all my credit card debt. You know what I mean? Like,
that's great.
I ain't lying. I was just like fucking boom, boom, boom. I called them up like next few days, paid that shit off. Like, I was like, fucking people like, what are you gonna, you gonna buy? You could buy stadium events? I'm like, fuck no, I ain't gonna buy stadium. I would love to have it, but I would rather not have to pay that credit card nut every month. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna find stadium events. I'm gonna find it cheap, and then you end up selling it and buying a house.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, dude, what I found is as rare as stadium events. Easily.
It just doesn't have
like it is. You do not find. It's not that everything about it keeps the fact that it's boxed is super rare. Yeah. The fact that it's sealed makes it even rarer. Go out and find one. You're more likely to come across a stadium events than you are that. And I stand by that. Find it. You know what I mean? You can go on eBay any time of the month and you'll see one of those. You go on eBay any time of the month, you might not see a Super Mario World sealed like that. You know what I mean? I've never seen one at a convention.
Same thing. Yeah, exactly.
I've never seen one at a convention. Never. Not one time. I've seen stadium events. I've been to a con where there was 3 stadium events. Yeah. I've never been to a con where there's a sealed Mario World. It's just the thing is, it's like you can find things out there that should give hope to anybody. I did get a lot of that on my Instagram, and people were just like, you know, there's still stuff out there. And I'm like, you're right, there are. This was just some guy's stuff. This was his grandfather's stuff. He didn't give fucks about it. He didn't care. And, you know, there's no woe is me story. This guy was driving a brand new Mustang. He was fit. He's young. He's good looking. This guy had world at his fucking at his fingertips. He ain't losing no fucking sleep. He didn't care because he even told me, I know I can get more online. I just don't care. Those were his words. And I'm like, I don't think he could have thought he could have got $7,000 for it, but that's not even the issue. He didn't care enough to look into it.
The store would have given him who knows what. I don't know. That's how crooked of the store they are. But...
No, and I or if they even knew what they were looking at. Frankly, it wasn't the A players in the store at the moment. They had their scrub unit in. On the weekends, they put their scrubs in there. They do their main business during the week. And honestly, I'm not saying they would have gave him less than I gave him. I can't say that. They would have probably gave him more. But I made an offer. I didn't do it maliciously. I thought I was getting it for like $700. I thought I was going to make a come up like that. I thought the game was worth $700. I truly did.
Yeah.
I was surprised. It's not like I could go back and find the guy. I don't know who the fuck he is. I do wish I gave him my number because in case their deal fell through, maybe he would have called me.
Well, and he might have had more stuff too.
But you know, man, in the moment, I felt like I needed to get out of there. The only thing out of that whole thing I regret is he did have a box console, like the standard, the control deck.
Yep. And
I didn't even look in it. It could have had a sealed Super Mario Brothers in there. It could have been a low number. It could have been a low numbered console.
See, and myself, if I was in your shoes there, I would have been tempted to get the deal done, do the $75, and then say, do you mind if I just grab a few more things and we try and negotiate another deal? Just a smaller one.
Right.
Like I don't have a lot of money left and
right. No, 100%. And I definitely look back on it. I know I got the most expensive thing out of it. So as far as that goes, the only thing that could have been more expensive would have been, and it wouldn't have been, because it wouldn't have been a sticker seal Mario in there because that was test market stuff. So no matter what was in there, it wasn't the most that could have been, even if it was unopened, it could have been maybe $1,000, $2,000. I got the most expensive, and I know it was open because you could tell the console, it wasn't pristine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The control deck box wasn't pristine, so it definitely was something that.
And there's no record or no pattern of the game consoles not being taken out. The Game Boy stuff was in good condition, but the console wasn't there. They played it. right?
Exactly. And there was no loose NES games in there, so that lets me to believe that wherever the fuck that NES was is probably, and I don't even know if the NES was in that box. It could have
Yeah,
just been a
yeah.
box.
That's quite
I never
possible.
checked it for weight, and it could have just been an empty box. I mean, I can't, whatever.
I would
I'm
suspect it
happy
would have
with
been
it.
because based on the Game Boy being an empty box.
It was exactly, and I suspect the same thing.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I kind of feel
This
like
is there's
that's
sealed stuff and the game
yes.
boxes. This was in a basement or in an attic somewhere, just taking up space.
Yep.
Everything that was played was somewhere else.
That's kind of what I was feeling because I felt like when you say he might have had more stuff, that is a possibility, but I also felt like he went back and got that stuff.
True, and that's what I was thinking too when
You know
I
what
said
I
it
mean?
was
He
he
didn't
already
come with
had the
two
Atari stuff
tubs.
on the counter.
Yes. He
Right?
didn't come
And
with
why
two
would he come
tubs.
back and bring only one more tub if he
Right.
had three at
I
home?
kind of feel like whatever he had was there. This is all speculation, but you know
Yep.
what? This is kind of what you do when you size people up. When this is kind of how you do it. You size up a situation. To me, I feel like the score was made. I'm not trying to be greedy. I hope the store made some money on that deal. Part of me does feel a little bad about it. I do think the owners are nice people and all that, but truth of the matter is, this was all done in the parking lot. I never said anything in the store. I mean, had their employee been a little more on the game, this would have never even happened.
Yeah.
Truthfully, the employee never even asked what they had.
Yeah.
They said, "I got more stuff." I didn't hear the conversation, but I can only imagine that's how it went down. Because
she didn't seem to encourage or
I don't know.
care.
She didn't give a fuck. She was flippant about it. It was like, yeah, your shirt's over there, and she's over there fucking around on the phone doing some other stuff. And I'm like, dude, this is the best score your store is gonna have in a very long time, and you just let it walk right out because you're not being on the ball, man. Like, be a business person, be on top of it. So, whatever. It is what it is, man. My law or their loss, my game. They're not hurting. Their lights will be on next month.
Yeah, they made enough money off the other stuff that they offered them way too little on, right?
Exactly.
They knew their number and they gave them half. Anyway, I also did pick up that Magic Knight Ray Earth Special Edition Game Gear, that red Game Gear at a garage sale.
And I had never seen that before.
No, me neither. So I at first thought it was just some kind of fake or some kind of aftermarket thing, and then when I saw the game to match, I'm like, no, this has got to be legit. Maybe it's Japanese because the game had Japanese writing on the label, but the words across the front of the console were in English. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a Japanese inspired or translated game or something like that. So yeah, that was a good find too. I'm hooking up a friend with that too, but
now was it in working condition?
Oh, it's great. It doesn't seem to have any of the capacitor issues that usually have a Game Gear.
That's very unique.
The screen's bright and the sound seems good too. I mean, I don't have a working one to compare to though, but
if you ever want to play a gambling game with me, we'll play Does This Work with the Game Gear, and I will take no every time, and I will bet every time that it does not work, that there is some issues, there are volume issues, screen issues, or it just doesn't even turn on.
Yeah.
And I will win so much than you will. You'll never, it doesn't matter.
It seems like a fun thing to do at a game swap. Just pick up every Game Gear you can and let's bet on the results.
Bet, and I will take no every time. So that's great, dude, that you found a special console that actually worked. That's amazing.
Yeah, it works great. And those people were definitely resellers. They had a lawn full of stuff. My wife and I were on our anniversary trip, like, I don't know, 5 hours away from home. And we love garage selling, but I didn't think we were going to run across any garage sales that day. I think that was a Sunday in like 2:00 in the afternoon or something. And this guy's got the garage sale, and I'm like, let's just stop. Which I don't normally do if it's someone that's obviously a reseller. I think, their prices are probably high. But he also had NES games that were in great condition. The only one I grabbed was Treasure Master, just because I was able to get it for $3. It ended up being $3 for that. Hell, the game console ended up being $5 for me. And the game with it was $3. And then, Galaga, I forgot I sold that to Josh as well. I need to put that in my spreadsheet here.
Gotta get the spreadsheet updated.
Creeply picked that up from me.
I didn't, but almost.
No. I gotta have the spreadsheet updated, but that's also where I'm getting all this information, or else I would not remember shit. And that's also where I got those other Atari games: the Superman, Spider-Man, Air Raid, and Rock and Rope. I grabbed those four. The Spider-Man, the label was coming off. That's the one I messaged you about.
Right, yeah, you could glue that. Yeah, did you glue it?
I haven't yet. It's just haven't had
It
time to
should
do
be
it.
no issues. That's a very common thing with Atari games, labels coming
Yeah.
off. I usually start with some low end glue, like we talked about, like maybe a glue stick or
Yeah.
Elmer's, but just very light so you don't smear.
Yep.
And if that won't hold, then I step it up and go with some crazy glue, and that'll get it every time. But
Yeah, I was worried with the crazy glue going through is all I was thinking too.
well, yeah, and that is a concern because some of those labels are too paper thin, and it can eat right through it. I would
There's more shit I got. No, I forgot. So I also got two Game Gear games. I was Galaga 94 and Lucky Dime Caper starring Donald Duck. Those were two Game Gear games that I've never seen before. Well, yeah, I've never had before. So Josh Creeply picked them up because he's going for a Game Gear set. And then Treasure Master, as I said, Alien Resurrection for PlayStation, Tenchu 2 for PlayStation, Punisher for PlayStation 2, Klonoa 2 for PlayStation 2, Shenmue 2, and then Four Swords Adventure for GameCube in really good condition. I can't believe that thing hasn't sold yet, but I got it for $3, and that one I'm trying to sell for, I think I have it listed at 40, but I can't believe that hasn't sold yet. I think even took it to a game swap and it didn't sell. And one guy even walked by and said, "That's a great price for that game. I'll be surprised if that doesn't sell by the end of the day." Didn't sell. I've had people message me on it, but they're all just flaky.
Well, hey, you know, it's the way it is, right? Sometimes.
Well, a bunch of that stuff. I sold the two games to a friend, and then that collectible console is going to another friend. I should actually put that off here as a mark it off so I don't forget. And then I've also sold the Treasure Master on Kijiji. Then I sold Alien Resurrection at a game swap when I had a table. Everything else I still have for sale, but I'm not really actively selling much. I didn't put any of this stuff up for sale. The PS2 and Xbox games. Yeah. That was just the only one that was really worth noting at all.
So how'd you do at Barry? We hadn't talked since you went to that, huh? Did you sell?
I know, right? I don't think I did talk to you after that. So I did good at Barry. How much did I sell? I'm trying to remember. I had it written down. My wife sold cookies again. She sold Switch cookies. It was either 600 or 800. I can't remember. I think it was 650.
Hey,
is my guess.
either way, that's a solid day. 6 or 8.
Yeah, I think it was 650, which is my lowest event yet for Barry. But Josh Creeplead and I also sold at the Niagara Game Swap, which is a new one, or it was the second show. The guy who runs that Players Guide on YouTube is also in our the Cartridge Club Discord and on the forums now too. And so they're only about 45 minutes, an hour away from me. And we did decent at that sale or that show. I wouldn't have done as good if I hadn't sold a modded Crystal Xbox.
Oh man, those
I
are
sold
so
that
cool.
for 150, modded loaded up with games and a bigger hard drive. But
of course, the games were free though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they just happened to be on there.
Yeah,
it's mainly the hard drive and the work to mod it, let alone to Crystal Xbox.
Crystal Xbox is very uncommon.
I've got a stack of them over here.
I know you like the guy because I've never seen. Well, of course, it's a Canadian thing, but
yeah,
still.
Canada and Europe they had them. They never had them in the States.
I've only seen them a couple of times in the States, like very rare. I saw them once at a convention, and the guy wanted way too much. So
it's tempting to bring a couple down to the States and hook up the Cartridge Club people.
Anybody I think wants because I would be interested. They're pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm not even an Xbox guy, and it's just a beautiful console, man. It's awesome.
It looks awesome. I love the Xbox to begin with, just because it's basically a PC plus the moddable, how moddable it is too.
Well, and I like that it was an American console. To me, it was kind of like true. It's kind of America coming back, saying, "Hey, we can get in the game." And they gave Sony a run for their money. They put a hurting on them, especially in the PS3 era. Like I think it's kind of undisputed that Xbox 360 was the go-to console in that era.
Yeah.
Even though I was a PS3 guy, but I mean, I can't deny that most people I knew was in Xbox, Xbox 360. So
yeah, Yep. If it hadn't been for Red Ring of Death, they would have kicked their asses even more.
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine it probably helped their sales numbers too, though. Because
they
of
counted every
that, when they talk
placement
about,
as a sale.
well, right, because when they talk about how successful the PS2 was, right, because that was one of the most successful consoles ever, was the PS2. Yeah, those sales were a little padded because their DVD reader would go out on them, and then it wouldn't read the games. So what'd you do? You have all these games. You want to play PS2? You went and bought a Slim.
And it's a good
That's when
price
the
for a
Slims
DVD
came.
player too. It was already a good
Absolutely.
price for a DVD player.
At the time, the price for it was because I remember I was gonna buy a DVD player, and I was like, and I wanted a PS2. I was gonna buy both, and I'm like, oh, they could play it. So the DVD player was more expensive than the PS2. So I'm like, right off the bat, for an average DVD player, a decent one, right?
Yeah.
Was the same price.
That's
And
the
then the
same
more
way
higher ends was
That's the same way
the
that PS3
PS3
did with Blu-ray, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Good reason to get it in the door.
That was the exact same reason why I bought a PS3.
Me too.
Someone bought me a PS3 actually they bought me a Blu-ray player for a Christmas present. And I took that shit right back and then got the money and went and bought a PS3. I was like, I mean, I still kept the present. It was just I altered it.
That's funny.
But we also, when I say we, me and NES Complex, we sold at Portland at SoCal Retro Gaming Expo. The same people who put that on also do a game swap. I guess that's all the rage, right? During your off season between your conventions, you do game swaps now. And this is the first one I sold at. He was real anxious and interested in selling, and he's like, let's get a table. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And so it's like a table is $50. So I was like, all right, I'll get a table. And then when we got there and I saw how much stuff I brought and how much he brought, I was like, this is going to be a messy table. And so he knew the organizer, and I don't know, he was chatting with her, and then right off the bat, she goes, you know what? Why don't you guys just take another table? Just go ahead. So
okay.
I was like, okay, yeah, right. So essentially we got full tables for 25 a piece. And I made 600 cash. And well, I actually made more than that, but I kept spending it. I bought me I just kept getting my goal was I wanted to make some money for sure. That was definitely the goal. But I wanted to buy one big item. It didn't have to be super big, but a big meaning like in the 100 range. Maybe
I was
a little
feeling
more, maybe
that
a
when
little
I
less.
was at Niagara Swap as well, and then I sold that Crystal Xbox, and I'm like, yeah, and I couldn't even find anything to buy.
Right, and that happens. But I wanted to buy one big item, and now I'm gonna tell you, and I'm not saying I reinvented the wheel now, but I brought some bins, and I initially was going to do $1, $2, $3, or $1, $2, $4, $5, something like that. I had these consoles, like kind of like untested, which I assumed they probably didn't work, but the price was, dude, you're buying parts. They might work, they might not. There was PS2s and bunch of fat PS2s. There was some PS1s. There was a Xbox in there. There was a couple 64s in there. And 64s I sold for $5 a piece, and then I ended up dropping the price on the rest of them, being like, fuck it, $1. I just did dollar bins. I was like, you know what? People were just nuts for these dollar bins. I had to make like at least 300 out of the 600. Well, actually, I made probably closer to 1,000 at the con, but I spent probably about I'd say about 850. I think I spent about 250. But yeah, I mean, and I have to say at least half of it came from those dollar bins. Like, I mean, I was throwing VHS tapes that I would get like I was getting, sometimes I get a lot where it's like I only want this one tape.
Yep.
But they're like, well, it's 5 for $1. So I'm like,
you grab 4 more. Yeah.
So I just 4 more of whatever seems semi-interesting, even though I don't necessarily want them. It's just like, well, I'm gonna throw them to the side, and maybe I'll have a
to you.
Right. I'm either gonna leave them or give them the fucking $1. I'm either gonna take the other 4 tapes, or I'm just gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So a lot of that was in there. There was, I don't know, just so much random garbage. Like I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, I'm gonna be on it. Like half of that shit, I was gonna throw away. I was just like, I don't want to deal with it. None of it's eBay worthy. How long am I going to hold this stuff? It's been piling up in these boxes. I'm just like, it was just time. You know, it's like they're going to go to the garbage can. And no, they went to people's homes. They loved them. You know what I mean? So it was really cool. Like, I'm like, man,
I can feel the just get rid of it. I've got this fucking pile of shit over here that's all just like game stuff I need to sell off or get rid of, but it's gonna end up going to a game store, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And see, that's another thing. If it had been stuff like that, I could have totally seen went and trading it into a game store. But you're gonna get motion sickness, Derek.
I know, right? It won't stay. You can't.
Oh, it looks good. Okay, there you go. Perfect.
Oh my god. It's gonna fall now.
But okay, so there was this guy, right? One of the things I wanted to get was, and I'm really getting into buying, not all NES boxes, mind you, just certain boxes. I'm trying to get all the variants for Super Mario Brothers, for Mario 3, for Zelda, Adventures of the Legend of Zelda. Definitely trying to finish off my black box set and stuff like that, right? And then it's like interesting ones that I find interesting. Like I got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and just stuff like that. I got my favorites, my top 10 and all that. Well, one of them was this. This is definitely the one I wanted, right? Wanted the oval seal. This is usually going to be one of the cheaper ones.
For the audio
but it's got the oval. Right. Sorry. Super Mario Brothers. It's got the oval seal. There's no hang tab. This is a later release. Okay. When I first started walking around, I was walking around before the public was in there, and the seller is a guy who rubs me wrong. I can't even say he's really done anything wrong, but sometimes personalities just don't mesh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see it.
He might be a really nice. It's just he rubs me wrong. Maybe I rub him. Excuse me. Maybe I rub him wrong. It's fair. I don't know what it is. I just don't really care for the guy. I don't know why. I just don't. So I didn't really want to buy anything from him anyway. And he immediately reinforced why I don't like him. He's set up. There's nothing like, I don't know what else he needs to set up. All his shit's right there. He's standing there. I see the Super Mario Brothers. Every fucking thing has a price tag on it, but that. At least everything in my general vicinity. So I'm like, how much do you want for this? I am not set up yet. I will not discuss prices until I'm set up. And I'm like, I mean, there's so many ways you could have replied to me, and that was just kind of a dick move, dude. I'm just like, okay, that's fine. So I set it down, and then I happened to notice he had a price sheet sitting there. And I looked at it, and it says Super Mario Brothers, $120. And I remember thinking, nah, fuck him. I'm not going to give him $120. So I went about the convention. I did my thing, or the game swap, did my thing, sold stuff. I found some cool items that I wanted. A couple other box games. I found a heavy barrel, sealed heavy barrel. Heavy barrel is one of my favorite NES games. I'm not a sealed collector, but the price was not much. It's a great game. I love it. It's just a little bit like the price he wanted for it was just like a little bit higher, like $10. Well, nah, I'd say $20 higher than a open box. Like he had it priced wrong. I'm thinking, well, if nothing else, it's a business opportunity in the future, but I like it, so I'm just going to keep it.
Yeah.
So I bought that, and I thought, okay, I thought, hey, you know what? I bought my one item, right? Then I found a challenge set, which, mind you, isn't this the Mario Brothers 3 with the challenge set stickers on it? This is the one that came in the challenge set, and it was actually boxed inside the console set. That was another one I want. It wasn't in the greatest condition, but it was good enough. And he was asking 25, and I said, hey, will you take 20? And he went for it. So again, I'm feeling great. Like I found a couple items that I wanted. As the convention started winding down, I went back over to that guy's table, and he actually put the sticker on it now, and it said $70, which is totally a price that was in my range. Because frankly, it's underpriced now. About 120 was probably about the right price, to be honest, especially considering the condition. So 70. So he also had one manual that I needed, which was Conquest of the Crystal Palace, ironically, because I talked about it earlier. But he happened to have that. And I remember he was trying to sell that at another convention. He wouldn't budge. He wanted $20 on it, and he was kind of being a dick about it. And I wasn't even trying to haggle. I had $18. I wasn't It's like, will you take 18? He goes, nope, 20, blah, 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 blah. Fine. So when I had this, I said, I had that. I was like, will you give me a bundle price? And he's like, yeah, fine. I'll knock $5 off. And I'm thinking, you know what? Whatever. It's still a win for me. I don't care. So I bought it. But it was interesting, though, because then he goes on to tell me, this is super complete. It has everything. It has the poster. It has the mail away card. And, all I'm hearing is like, okay, well, I mean, I already said yes, but if you want, and it has a star in there. Cause like, see, inside there's a tab, right? There's two tabs. There's a star on it. Okay. Well, when you go to Wada Games, they kind of explain the various variants. And this would have been something you would have got from Nintendo Power. You could have bought this in a store. This actually makes it as rare as it could be. Like, when you compare this to like the test market, which I also bought at that same convention, this is like the one that sold for $100,000, right? But it was sealed.
Yeah, but a sealed one.
So I say this is probably worth about $8,000. I'd say, give or take. I think I could get that. I mean, it's definitely a sealed. It's verified. I mean, not sealed, but it's definitely a test market. It's in pretty good shape. I mean, it does have this tear right there, which would knock it down. But one in much worse condition just sold for $20,000 recently. Jesus. So this one might sell for that. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I don't care. I didn't buy it to sell it, to be honest. I bought it for $30. I'm happy. But this one, it is as rare on the rarity scale. So it was like, okay, thanks for educating me, buddy. But I already knew, like apparently that little article you read.
You didn't know it had the star, or you did?
I did not know. I was just going to buy it as it was because the price was right as it was.
And it had
I wasn't going to open.
The oval.
I didn't care if it had. Yes, I didn't care if it had everything in it. I was just buying the box. It could have been an empty box for $70, and I would have bought it. The fact that it had the game in it was a bonus. Yeah. Well, that would have been the right price. It would have been still cheap. In that condition, $70 is a very fair price for the box. I know it sounds crazy to someone who doesn't buy them. I get that, but again, I didn't really pay that. I sold junk. I consider it a trade in my mind. I just sold
dollar bin stuff.
Crap. Derek, stuff I was going to throw away. I am not joking. This was I mean, don't get me wrong. I did sell a couple of good items off the table, but that's not what I mean, it doesn't matter how I took home $600. So however you want to divide it, that was the garbage money as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, it made me feel a little happy knowing that, this guy who just, and again, he really has done nothing wrong. He just rubs me wrong.
Yeah. And I can understand some people who are like, don't come over because the time hasn't started or whatever too. And if he knows you're another vendor, he might have thought you were buying stuff to sell too, but who knows? No. Either way, there's other ways to say it, or he wasn't unjustified.
No. And again, I walked away. It wasn't like we argued about it, nothing like that. I respected his policy. That was it. Fine. You don't want to sell it? That's fine. You know what I mean? But when I came back and I saw it there, I'm not going to cut my own nose off to spite my face. Yeah. I mean, like I said, he really hasn't done anything. Just because his personality is off, doesn't, like, he hasn't called me names or, I thought he's been a tad bit rude, but then again, fuck, I don't know. Maybe I'm rude to him. Who the hell knows? Maybe I was rude. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. It's all perspective, right?
Yeah. So do you know that NES Complex has a video on his channel for Heavy Barrel?
I do know that, and I actually we chat a lot, and when he was going through the letters, he was at H, and he's like, like what game do you think? I was like, dude, I love Heavy Barrel. What about Heavy Barrel? I just wanted to see a Heavy Barrel video because there's not really any out there.
You should tell Travis from Polykill to do one for NES Friend as well.
I would love you to do that, Travis. You're awesome, man. Do a Heavy Barrel video. I want to see your perspective.
You might have already done. I haven't checked out his channel for a while.
Maybe, yes. I'm backlogged on so many channels, but I do like I like his videos. They're kind of like short and to the point. I dig them. And, you could tell he has a passion for it, and that makes a difference to me,
Another thing, when you're talking about the deals are out there and stuff, it reminded me of your tweet that you sent out that says, in quotes, man, you get lucky. I never find stuff like that. And you have a picture of you on the road at Saturday, 5:15 a.m. That was a good one.
Yep.
Along with the next
And,
one, I think it was about the scumbag resellers, and you got the guy at 5 in the morning setting up his booth.
Well,
flashlight.
exactly, man. And I wasn't trying to be like preachy or anything or cocky about it, but I hear that, and you know, a lot of people say it, and they don't mean it to be insulting. It's just words sometimes. Oh man, you're lucky. Okay, fine. I'm lucky. I admit that. I've always been lucky, but that's not why I got those games. That's not why I made that deal at that video game store.
No,
That had nothing to do with luck.
You go there often enough to run into it, but then you were also clever enough to listen, to see what was in the box, and then to think about a good strategy. Now, you might have been lucky that the guy went out to his car. Maybe that was luck.
That maybe, I mean, to me, is that luck or is that opportunity? Like, I don't know. I mean, it just depends on how you want to look at it. Probability, whatever. I mean, the circumstances were definitely in my favor, but I took the initiative. Like, I didn't stand there like an idiot. I didn't fuck up when he opened the box. Like, oh my God, look at all this. I've seen so many people fuck those kind of deals up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Myself,
do you know how rare this is?
I would have probably avoided the going out to make the deal thing. I would have probably whatever. There's probably nothing there anyway, is what I probably would have convinced myself of and missed out on it.
But you would have never known. But you'd have probably never known, and it wouldn't have mattered. But the thing is I saw an opportunity, I took it. That whole 5 a.m. thing, I mean, dude, I worked long hours. You know, that night, the night before, I didn't get off till probably 10:30. I wasn't home till 11. I didn't go to sleep till probably midnight. But I got up because I knew I wanted to do it, and I knew I wanted to go out and hunt. And if I would have waited till 10, and I have local buddies, and they post, and I would have saw the shit they found, you know, it'd have been like, fuck, that could have been me. And there's some FOMO to it, but there's also like, look, I'm running a business here. You know what I mean? Like, I got a collection. I got a, if you want to call it an addiction, an infatuation, whatever you want to call it, I got to feed it. I enjoy it. It brings me pleasure. I like it when those endorphins go off. You know, when you find something you like, it makes you feel good. I don't do drugs. I'm not a fucking drinker. I mean, I drink from time to time, but that's not my thing. You know what I mean? Like, I find pleasures in this. This is something that makes me happy. I'm spending time with my children. I have other things, but this is what I like to do. And it puts fucking money in my pocket. You know what I mean? And right now, like, I got a raise at work. I got a promotion at work. So the money part isn't as much of a motivating factor, but man, it's like icing on the cake. You know what I mean?
When you pay off your credit cards, it helps.
See what I'm saying? Like, exactly. Like, I could have not done that and been fine, but you know, the opportunity was there. I made the money. I could have probably held out. You know, another guy's like, I would have did this. Okay, well, whenever you find your sealed games, then you do what you got to do. I made the decision for me. If I left $1,000 on the table, I don't give a shit, because I didn't leave no $1,000 on the table. I took $7,000 off the table. You know what I mean? Like. That's what I did. I've seen a lot of poker players. I played poker for years, man. And I've seen a lot of players sit way too long. They were up $1,000 and they left going to the ATM twice. You know what I'm saying? So I cashed out and I fucking sold it and I made my money and I'm happy with my profit. Could I made more? Probably, but maybe not. There might have only been 3 people in the country who wanted to buy that. I might have found one of the 3. Yeah, I don't know how many people want to drop $7,000 on a video game.
Yeah, and then there's selling it on eBay. There's a lot more hassle. Way more time investment.
Yep. That guy could have got it, not liked it. It could have got lost. I mean, there's a lot of risk, man. I don't mind risking a $200 camera. I would have done insurance, but even then, the insurance on it was $57. It was. I looked to see how much. I saw how much it would be for $5,000. It was $57. So if I wanted to do it for 10, it was going to be over $100 of insurance.
Yeah.
That's another 100 out of your pocket. Now, granted, if I made another 1,000, it's only a tenth of the 1,000. I get that, but
eBay's also taking 10% off that.
Hey, there's also other concerns, man. There's other concerns. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's just other concerns. I was happy. Yeah. Hey, you know what? And if there was any FOMO kicking in, it was just like I wanted to do it while I was hot. I had offers. sometimes those offers dry up, and now you're chasing it.
Yeah.
I like to sell from a position of power. When you're in the position of weakness, you end up just taking less and less and less, as opposed to you're being chased. That's the time to make the sale. You know what I mean? Don't get too greedy. You're gonna end up, if you want a tip, there's it is. You know what I mean? Like, we like to give these tips in the show. Don't be too greedy. I'm not saying shortchange yourself. I'm saying all right. When that day started, if someone had told me, hey, give me $75 and I'm going to give you back $7,200, would I have question that? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I sold something that was worth 100,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking we're talking maybe 30%, 40%. You know what I'm saying? Well, not even that much. You know what I mean? It's not that much higher. You know what I mean? What? I could have made another $1,000 on top of it. If maybe. Again, that's if. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's if. Yep. It's still not guaranteed. So, I don't know. I'm happy with the deal. And, you know, that whole thing about the scumbag resellers things, you know, I don't think that's as prevalent as it used to be. But you used to hear that a lot. And you still hear from time to time, you know, people have this, this jealousy or this resentment towards resellers. And I understand, because I was a collector who used to be bummed out. You know, you run into something you're really happy to find, and all of a sudden the guy's breaking out his phone. It's a drag. I get it. But, you know, that's also about cultivating a relationship with the person. If you talk to them, you know, maybe they'll be more likely to give you a deal. Maybe you don't get the smoking deal, but maybe you get a deal. You know, like, there's different ways to approach it. But, you know, that guy, I've seen that guy set up that booth several times. And that guy's out there in the dark. He had 2 flashlights on his head. You know what I mean? That guy's out there. He's got a family. You know, he's just trying to, and most of those people out there are just trying to make money to make ends meet. I don't know any of them that I would consider scumbags, but you know what I mean? You hear it all the time. And it's like, yeah, do some of those guys, you know, Pat the NES Punk, he likes to talk about that Wario guy in his videos who goes around and buys the games before people get there. Yeah, boo fucking who? Get there earlier. Yeah. He does. That's what he does. He gets there earlier and he buys them. It's just that simple. And then he goes and resells them. And guess what? You can go to that Kobe swap meet in San Diego, and that motherfucker will be there this Saturday or Sunday, whichever day. And he's there. I went and I saw him. He's right there at the booth selling stuff. And yeah, you know, he knows his shit. Maybe he's asking too much. So what? You don't have to buy it. Yeah. I get it. He doesn't like to negotiate. Well, too fucking bad. You know what I mean?
Someone buys it, so
obviously he's doing I guess, enough. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks. It is a drag. It does suck that when you see the games get sun beaten and they don't respect it. And I can understand that, because I have those same gripes, right?
Yep.
You know, take care of the stuff and respect it. You know, that's going to be someone's collection. They like it, you know, like, but then there's other guys who are just like, fuck it. It's just a trinket. You know, who cares? I don't know. Who's right? You know what I mean? I like to think I am, but, you know, I get it. The guy's just trying to make money. But, yeah. So, I mean, you could get real lucky, too, if you get up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday and you understand your area. Have a plan in place, okay? I know the colder it gets, the less yard sales there are. So I go to swap meets now. Now my chances are up at the swap meet. When it's hot, I don't go to swap meets. That ain't what I do first. That's what I do last. I go to swap meets to get the scraps when it's hot, because I know that I could go to yard sales and have a better chance of finding good shit. For me, these are my experiences. Now, There's other guys who that's all they do is swap meets, and good for them. They don't have to deal with me during the summer. You know what I mean? In the winter, they're going to see my face a lot. So,
yeah, that's actually kind of ties into something I was going to say as my tip was, like, we haven't been doing this podcast in 7 months, but during that time, I've still been keeping my habits up with hunting. For me, that's usually scouring Kijiji or even eBay and looking for things that I want. I have saved searches on Kijiji that now they have their own alerts built into the app that daily it'll pop up if there's any new results on your searches. eBay's got the same thing. You can have it immediate, or you can have it daily or weekly,
delayed or whatever, right?
Yeah. And then on Kijiji I have my own other way of doing it, where I have RSS feeds and stuff to alert me immediately when stuff's posted if Kijiji's search is working. But that's the kind of things that I try and keep as a habit that when I check my phone, I check my messages, and then I go check my Kijiji listings.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
So those
get.
habits help
See,
me.
we don't have Kijiji, but we have Offer Up and Let Go and the
Yeah.
Facebook Market
Yeah,
group,
those
which
are
I'm
in
sure you
my
have that too.
those are all in
Yeah,
my routine too. Like I've got
right. And
Let Go and Virage Sale,
yep,
Buns, Kijiji, and then Facebook Marketplace.
exactly. And right now, I got an alert on Offer Up, and if I go in there, a lot of times it sends me the same garbage, but then sometimes it don't. And I like to
Yep.
check it a couple times a day. And you know what? That got me that Atari case the other day. That got me several nice little. That got me that Game and Watch that I got a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
That with a weird address, and I ended up selling for $135 on eBay, and I did well on it. I was happy with that. I could have kept it, but I sold it, and
Yep.
now it's going to be somebody's Christmas present or somebody's collection, and I'm happy for them. It didn't mean that much to me. I
Yeah.
was happy to get it. I could have kept it. I didn't care either way. I was happy either way, and it worked, and it tested, and and it was a good deal on both ends. And now a third person is happy, and the guy got his money, I got my money, and someone got the item, and it came from, doing your due diligence, being persistent, you know.
Yeah. For
Um,
sure.
it's just the way it is, man. You can sit around and complain, I never find anything, but sometimes, it's very easy to find out why they don't find anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you got to put in the time searching. And also educating yourself too, knowing what it is you're seeing when you see
Yep.
something you don't know. Like, oh, I've seen those Mario boxes. It might be like I would have never known that one's worth so much. I could see it and be like, ah, that's a Mario box. I don't need it,
Yep.
but it could be worth tons of money.
Well, and I'm gonna tell you right now, most people it was one or the other. Either they knew exactly what I found and they were like, "Holy shit," or
Yeah.
they were just like, "I didn't realize." And I was like, "You know what? I'll be honest. There was a time I didn't realize
Yeah,
until I
even
learned."
Super Mario World, same scenario, right? People don't realize Super Mario World in a box is worth money
Yes.
because of how it was originally sold.
Right. Well, the thing is Super Mario, the Super Mario All Stars. When at least when I bought mine, I bought a brand new Super Nintendo, and it came with Super Mario World, and it came with a voucher that if I sent it off, they would send me a Super Mario All Stars. That
Okay.
came in a box, but it wasn't sealed.
Oh,
See,
interesting.
I don't remember it being sealed. Now, unless I'm remembering it wrong, I remember it
Yeah.
coming in a box. A box in a box. Obviously, it was the Mario All Star box, but it was in a box, and when I opened it, it was just ready to go. So, but they also sold it at retail. So that was a retail copy. Okay. Was it any more rare than the other one? I don't know, but I know that Super Mario World is, and I know any Super Nintendo game for the most part is rare-ish. Okay. I came across two sealed tennises the other day. Obviously, they weren't rare. They were going sealed for $20. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So
Yep.
obviously, that's something that was a large surplus.
Vegas
Okay.
steaks I see in boxes by the box
Yep.
around here.
Yep.
There's a couple stores around here that have boxes of them sealed.
Right. Now they would be kind of cool if you can get it for $5 and you want to throw one
Yeah.
on the shelf, just hell of it, and like, look at this neat thing. It's a Super Nintendo sealed game. That's kind of cool, I guess. To me, I like something that means something to me. Like
My
this
wife
baseball
my wife
game, this was
loves
like,
Vegas steaks. She played that as a kid with her brother, and they always fucked around with the weird story in that game because there's weird stuff that happens.
yeah,
And if I bought her a sealed copy of that, she'd love it. I already have a
and
loose
that's
one, but she would love it
well,
if I bought her one. But I think they're $20 around here, 15, 20.
eh,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. With Christmas coming up, that might be a cheap gift. Who knows? I mean, I don't know
I
what you
got
guys
lots of
get,
stuff for it
again,
already. Yeah. Yeah.
but again, though, that you see what
It's
I'm
still in
saying
my
though,
back
like.
pocket, possibly for later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going anywhere. Like this baseball, this meant something to me because, I mean, for one, it has Mario on it.
Yeah.
And two, I always liked this Game Boy game. I thought it was fun for what it was. It was simplistic, but I used to play it a lot. So it was kind of neat. But, that Alien game, I hope it sells any day now. Like, I got it
Yeah.
listed
Yeah.
and I want it. I don't care if I have it. It don't mean shit to me. It's sealed, it's neat, but I don't want it. So it's kind of what it is, collect what you love, kind of like what Discart says, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that saying. It's great.
Yeah, collect what you
So
love.
much sense. You got any
Yeah.
class update? You got any manual update or what? Any
Yes. Okay, so I got a Jetsons recently from a friend. He got a big lot, and one of the in there was a Jetsons, and it had the manual. So I immediately messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, dude, like I'd like to get that manual off you." And he goes, "Don't worry about it, it's yours, bro. Let's work on a deal." I'm like, "Cool." And he's like, "What do you got to trade?" I thought he was just gonna want cash. So I was like, hold on. I just happen to have kind of a surplus of kind of decent doubles, like Mario's and like Mario 3 and Mario 2 and Zelda and couple Metroid, couple things like that. And I sent him and he's like, boop, 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 give me these 6 games. And I'm like, you got it. You know what I mean? Like, there you go. Awesome. And we made a nice quick trade. The manual's definitely a rare manual. There's no disputing that. I mean, Jetsons is might be on the little bit on the low rarish end, but it's definitely rare. I mean, it's not super rare, but I mean, you might never see one, so it's kind of that. It's definitely not uncommon. It's a little bit, if you're going by some weird scale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got
everybody defines it kind of different.
Right, but there is a middle ground there. It's above uncommon, but it's not high in the rarity. It's kind of in that in between, but it's definitely rare. And anything that's rare as a cart, the manual's even rarer. It's just the way it works.
Gotcha.
So that was cool. So I'm down, and so that got me down to I got that in another manual. Just kind of a commonish semi-common. So I got those 2 manuals, and that got me down to 64, I think it was 64, something like that. And then so after I bought that Indiana Jones, and I ended up making a deal with he's actually somebody that we know. I don't know if he wants to divulge the purchase yet, so I'll let him do his own thing. But it's a mutual friend. He contacted me, he wanted it. So I was telling him, I was like, well, I could do one price complete, or how about this other price without the manual? I thought it would entice him to not want the manual. And he's like, no, I'll just take it. And I'm like, all right. So I was just thinking to myself, well, I'll just take that difference and I'll just go buy the manual because I was going to do it anyway. So I went on to eBay and I actually got it cheaper than I was going to get in our deal. So I found, which is this one right here, The Last Crusade. It's the Ubisoft. It's, like I said, it's pretty rare. And I don't know why I was at it. I actually needed 2 other Indiana Jones manuals. I needed the Taito of The Last Crusade, so I got that, and then I needed Young Indiana Jones, so I just knocked out the Indiana Jones. So
subset complete.
Right, and I did, and I found exactly subset complete for sure. And then I got NBA basketball, Tecmo NBA basketball manual. A friend, he was selling off his stuff. He has like a little tiny booth in a thrift store. And I've gone through it several times, and I noticed that, man, I was like, how did I not look in this box? Because it was in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I know he wouldn't want to separate it, so I just asked him, well, how much do you want for this? And he's like, how about $10? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that, because the manual sells for $10, so... So, yeah. So now I'm down to 60 manuals for complete... I don't know if you call it... I guess complete NES.
Yeah.
Library. Blah blah blah. So I need 60 more manuals.
Cool.
So yeah, that. And then I also, one other thing that I got that makes me happy, I'll keep it. There's not really much to the story other than like I said, I've been kind of going for the boxes of just the particular ones. So I had got this one. This was like some sort of Canadian Mattel variant, and it's kind of cool because it has like the sticker on it. It's kind of, I don't know, it's just has this. Why you guys want 2 seals on it, you crazy Canadians? I don't know.
Not that I guess we were given it.
Well, one's in English, and I guess the other one's in French.
That makes sense because it's required by law at some point to put French and English on everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I don't care. I like the goofiness, and so I bought that, and then so like kind of here's a tip, man. If you're serious about going for first print, you better do it now because they just keep going up and up and up. And hopefully you can get lucky and find a first print that someone doesn't realize is a first print. So one of the trendy first prints is the Left Bros. They call it the Left Bros because the bro is on the left, whereas they didn't like it because it's behind his hand. It's like, well, it's behind and it looks like shit, so they moved it to the middle.
Yeah.
So if you can see the difference there, so the left row is the it's the big trendy thing to get for Super Mario 3. You want the left rose. No self-respecting collector doesn't have the left rose. Okay, if you're serious, there, get on it.
I'm not serious about NES. I can tell you that much.
Right,
7
and it was
games.
like, well, get your shit together, dude. But yeah, so it I don't know. I think it's going for like 150, I've seen it as high as 300. I mean, it's truly all over the place. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, and some guy had it for like $70 on eBay, but he had and I was just gonna buy it, but he had the or best offer, and I just can't help myself.
Me neither.
I should have just bought it because truthfully, now you got to be careful with those best offers because eBay forces you into that best offer situation. You could turn it off, but by default, when you make a listing, by default, it's has the best offer. So if the person ain't paying attention, a lot of them don't want no fucking offers.
I heard a lot about that on that eBay selling podcast I listened to, Scavenger Life. They talked about it a lot.
And it's so irritating, but I've gotten used to it. But I know a lot of people haven't, because sometimes I'll get people replying back to me, I didn't even want offers. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I was just doing
my fault.
and
Yeah.
good luck to you, sir. Like, have a nice day. But so I threw him a $50 offer and he took it. And I was just like, wow, like that's like so cheap. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's complete. It's got everything it's supposed to have. Yeah, I was like, okay.
It makes me want to hunt eBay.
You kind of have to, man.
I mean, if there's something
you're looking for, see, that's the thing. It really comes down to those nuances. But I still have friends who pull lots, and I'm like, I don't know how you did that. I forget, like there's times they're like, dude, I just bought this lot and Hot Slots was in it. I'm like, wait a minute, what? On eBay? Like they just get lucky,
Wow.
And I'm like, oh shit. It's like, don't even tell me these fucking stories, dude. I waste too much time searching as it is. I'll be I gotta sleep at some point, man. I gotta go to work at 5 a.m.
I'll find people selling lots on like Facebook Marketplace, and they've got a picture of just the end labels. And I'm sitting there Googling end labels just to see what that one could be. It's too blurry to read, but I'm Googling what ones are blue with the text on the left-hand side, and it uses a fat font, right? Like,
that's next level thinking right there, but definitely.
Yeah, that's what I do all the time. I've actually thought about having a full collection of end labels. I want to see a picture with the full collection of just the end labels, maybe sorted by color.
Sure, it's possible. I mean, I have a friend who's a pretty, big resell. Well, you met him, sort of, Jay.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll have some text like, "Dude, I can't make. What is that?" And I'm looking at it and like,
I thought about messaging you. I'm not gonna lie.
That's fucking Mega Man 3, dude. Like, what the fuck, man? You woke me up for this shit. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know, man. I thought it could be Little Samson." I'm like, that ain't even the right color, dude. Like, get the hell out of here,
man. Yeah, I've searched just to try and find something like that. I've found good ones that way, but I never buy them because it's not worth the lot price usually. And also, it's terrible.
Well, the thing is it's more of a. I think it benefits more of a collector than someone who's purely trying to resell it, because as a collector, you might be able to resell everything and then say, "Well, I only paid $50 for this," and keep it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you sold it all, you might only make $30 profit, type of thing. It might benefit more the person who's trying to really like just sell the lot down and keep the stuff he wants out of the lot. And those, you know what I'm saying? And those lots that are really close to market, but there is some wiggle room. You know what I mean?
Yep, I've done that with PS3 games or Xbox 360 games, where it's like I want those two, and the rest I'll just sell off, and it's all worth it.
Yeah, and the other thing, there are even guys who oh shit, I lost my train of thought. Never mind. Go ahead.
I was gonna say my collection update is my budget's up by $230 or $260 right now, $259. So that's where my budget is.
That's how much you're in the profit, or like in the whole negative?
Profit.
Yeah.
Profit.
Right.
So all my stuff
collection
is free and has paid me $360. Yeah.
That's nice. That's really good, dude.
Yeah,
I'm very
impressed. I did sell off that I did sell off that extra PS3. I forgot I sold it. I put it on Kijiji and got a bunch of messages. Some guy drove 45 minutes here to get it. I guess there's none in his area, so he just drove all this way to get it for his kid for Christmas. So I'm like, here,
Really cool.
take this free copy of Minecraft. Because I got it with the
Yeah,
system,
no,
and I've already got
dude,
it on
that's
2 other
awesome.
systems. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then plus, you know, like you might have just made that kid's Christmas.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, it's bad enough he's getting 2 consoles behind with the 5 coming out. You know what I mean? His cheap ass dad wouldn't even give him a PS4. So
No, it was
at least you
PS4.
threw
It was
him a free.
PS4.
Oh, PS4. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it
I
was
thought you said
PS4.
PS3.
I might have said
Okay,
PS3.
well,
I meant PS4.
so-
Yeah.
No, maybe I just heard you wrong. So he's only 1 console behind. So
Yeah, exactly.
soon, anyways. It's
Yeah.
PS5's on the horizon.
But he's still getting
Well-
the fat 500 gig one, but that's all right. Minecraft is only like 400 megs, so you're
Hey,
good.
you know, hell, half these kids, they don't care. They just delete it when they're done with it anyways. Preserve nothing.
Can you put on Minecraft and can you put on Fortnite? We're good.
Yeah, really. I mean, man, the kids I'm around, it's just Fortnite and it's the Fortnite clones. You know what I mean? Like that's all they care about is whatever's Fortnite, whatever's like Fortnite. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, that's the era we're in right now, and cool for them, you know.
Mario Bros, right?
Hey, whatever, you know, if that's what they're into, like that's awesome, man. Like it's funny that you get these backlash sometimes on genres. It's like, yeah, but I mean, you sound like the old fuck who used to complain about what you played. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so what? That's what they're into. Who cares?
No,
You
I
just
think Fortnite's a neat game, and it takes some actual talent to play that
Absolutely.
too. Because
Dude, there's
can't do it
kids who are
anymore.
making millions of dollars playing it. Like, maybe it's not the norm, but I mean, there are some out there who's made life-changing money. That's great. And there are kids who's drained their mother's credit card or maxed their mom's credit card out on skins or whatever. So, I mean, I guess there's both sides of it, but
well, that's parenting.
sure. You gotta have limits, man.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
actually the Canadian Ontario Lottery. Their slogan is "Know your limit, play within it."
That's a great slogan.
It's a good slogan for a lottery.
That is a great slogan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like the side of the cigarette saying it'll give you cancer. They're kind of telling you. They know you're not going to play in your limit, but it's still a great slogan.
Well, they kind of cover their asses saying, "We told you."
Hey, it's not our fault you mortgaged your house and spent your kids' college fund on fucking scratchers. Right.
Yep. All right. We did not get any tweets for questions since the last show that I could find. I don't think we did. But we got lots of kudos and thank yous from people who are selling stuff using our tips or picking up stuff using our tips. So that's awesome. That is
I've gotten
wicked
some
to hear.
DMs. Yeah, I've gotten some DMs on Instagram asking about the podcast and really really enjoying the tips and everything. And I know sometimes they become repetitive. I'm sorry if I do, because frankly, I don't write this crap down. You know what I mean? I don't have a spreadsheet of my tips. I try not to be, but I just know like what helps me, and I want it to help you. You know, build your collection and make money, whatever it is your angle. If it's like Derek purely building a collection, that's great because he's done really good with that. Me, I've done both. I've built a collection and I've also made money that's paid off my credit card debt. You know what I mean? Like there's multiple angles on this. You know what I mean? And my main tip that I always go back to is this, and I don't mean this to sound insulting, but just like work on your personality. It really matters when you're out there. You could be the most slick guy ever. Learn how I think they call it mirroring or whatever. Try to mirror, try to understand what they want. It's not being dishonest. You're just trying to make a deal. They're trying to make money. You're trying to help each other. Do your thing, and that's really all it comes down to is hunt, know your area, and have a plan, man. And even if your plan is no plan, at least you have that. You know what I'm saying? Like, know what you're doing. You know what I mean? That's all. I'm gonna tell you, you could get lucky and go to the swap meet at noon. I've gone at 1:30 and found an Xbox Halo edition. I had a friend who just pulled a test cart at 10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it shouldn't have been there. And it was. So it
Yeah.
happens, you know, but you're going to find more early. The earlier you get there, the more luck you're going to have.
Another reason or way to use your budget was Self-Destructo. Jeffrey on Twitter, one of the Cartridge Club guys, he actually paid for his trip from Halifax to Ontario to go to the Barrie Game Exchange using selling stuff that he's bought. So that's pretty
That's
cool.
great.
He even
Yeah.
sold some stuff at my table. I put some stuff of his in my display case, and I think he sold 2 games doing that. So that's awesome.
And you know, that's another thing. Like, you know, I talked about it earlier, but if you have those things that aren't eBay worthy, and there is, you know, like a game swap or something like that, and you know, get a table, man. You know, you don't realize what other people need or
Yeah.
want. You know, you think just because you have all this, and yeah, when you look at this particular game, oh, so what? I see it all the time. Well, there's people out there who don't. There's some people out there that was the first time they've seen that game in a long time, and they just want to play it. And you know, keep in mind, not everybody has the same experiences. So you could make, you know, you can make a nice chunk of change. I know I did, and you know,
And
you've done it
I
several
find
times.
it fun to sell too,
I
right?
love it. I love those events, man. It's there's an energy in the air, and you know, especially the more you go to the certain, you know, particular events, you know, you're making friends, you're making new friends, you're seeing old friends.
Yep.
It's a good time, and I enjoyed myself, and I honestly I can't wait to the next one.
Yep, me too. All right. Well, according to my outline, that's all I got. Do you want to do suggested content? You got anything? I don't.
Yeah, actually, there's this guy. His name is Megadan29. He's on YouTube. I've really been getting into watching his live streams. He has some decent. He's just really good at Nintendo games, NES particular, but he's also good at Super and on Genesis. He does a lot of. I mean, pretty much this guy's as good at old video games. He's got a lot of you know, playthroughs and a lot of speed. Well, not I know speed runs, but he's got a lot of no death runs. Very impressive. Also, I just did a no death run recently in Contra, which almost brought me to tears. As embarrassing as to say, I was just happy. You know what I mean? Like not really, but you know, I was just like, I felt some emotions, man. It felt good. Um, but yeah, it's cool. I like the guy. He's a real nice guy. He's kind of in like a little subgroup. You know, there's a NES Addict and J Love and was it Solid Nate. And I don't know. There's this
Did you
little. I
say
think they're in the
Mega Dan?
Mega. Yeah, Mega Dan 29.
29. Okay. So for some reason, I was thinking you said 89. I'm like, I
No,
don't
no,
find it. I did
29.
realize Mega Dan play on Mega
It's all one
Man.
word.
His
Yeah, it's
logos
all one
even.
word. Yeah,
Good.
this is a good guy. I like him. I mean, he's a little more adult in his streams, so it's not kid friendly, which is probably good for the Copa shit that's coming out that
Oh
everybody
God.
seems to be really worried about.
Yeah.
Um, so all these F bombs I've been dropping, it's actually to let you know this is not a kid podcast. So if you're
Right.
watching on the YouTube
Exactly.
channel,
So
this
the
is not for
IRS,
kids.
be aware. This is all just not real. We're
Yep.
comedy, and everyone else be aware
That
that,
this is not
that
for
this is
children.
not
So
kids,
do
not for
not
children.
try to hit Derek with a
No.
$45,000 fine or whatever
Right?
it is.
We talked about
Yes,
Fortnite, but that was from an adult point of view, looking
yes,
down on the children. No, looking
yes.
at the children.
Right, exactly. But we do not encourage kids to listen to this shit. It's
Nope.
garbage. Don't listen to it, children. Do not listen
Nobody
to it.
listened to it. That's fine too.
Fair enough. You know, we're kind of doing this for our own entertainment. But for the few of you out there who do enjoy it, man, thanks for listening and thanks for you know,
Yeah,
your
and
comments are all cool.
I went to go check to see how long it had been since we did an episode, and on there I could see that it looks like we haven't really lost subscribers. There's still like 217 people that are
Hey,
devoted to getting this episode downloaded whenever it comes out. So I'm
well, I'm
happy.
glad. And my mom has 17 dummy accounts, so no,
Only 17. She doesn't love you,
only
does she?
17. He cut them off the other 100. We used to have more subs, and she unsubbed all this. She's like, you're clogging up my feed.
All right. Well, yeah. So plugs. Chris is at CWR2. That's the number 2 on Twitter and Instagram. Follow him. He's got cool shit. I am Derek of Two Dorks. That's TWO Dorks on YouTube. I'm DEGE13 everywhere else. I don't even have that written down, which is weird. But anyway, and Cartridge Club, cartridgeclub.org. Check it out. Community of gamers, collectors, content creators, friends of ours. We are members. It is awesome. It's how we met. That's all I got to say.
Hey, it's good talking with you, man. And I miss looking at your clutter pile behind you. For a long
This is
time.
my shit to fix, shit to sell, stuff in the way. Need to put it somewhere else. Yep.
Well, it looks good, man.
Makes
me feel better about my clutter.
There you go. That's what it's there for. It's to make everybody else feel better.
Make me feel better. I feel great now. I'm like, hey, fuck, mine don't look like it could collapse and kill me.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Probably good. Yeah.
Right.
Especially these guns here. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
All right, cha-ching.
That was good, man. Might have been a little long, but who cares? Like, I don't know. I had stories to tell.
I wrote the title before we even started, or like the descriptive text, the teaser text. I wrote, this episode has awesome stories from Chris, as we try to keep the episode short and never can.
Right. Because that's so true. Because ultimately it goes back to, you can skin a fucking sheep one time, but you can shear them many times. So why fuck it up? You know what I mean? Like,
she's impressed with anything.
Anything doesn't matter. 2 minutes, she's fair. She's happy.
Exactly.
No,